Yeah.
I haven't announced.
So I'm willing to have that happen. You don't have to be very close to me. You're gonna surprise me?
Really?
Yeah.
Why not? It's a fun one. It's right up my alley.
Great job.
Take care of it.
Sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 p.m. We'll call this meeting out of recess. And as a first item in our next order of business, would you join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business is announcements. Councillor McHugh has an announcement.
I'm so glad there's so many people here for my announcement. The Portsmouth, the Portsmouth Division II hockey team won the state championship, and they had three little Compton players on it. I just wanted to recognize them: Steve Madden Jr., Finn O'Connor, and Lucas Roberts. So every time Portsmouth wins a state championship, there's always a few little Compton kids on there. So that was really impressive. And we also have another state championship in the audience, the soccer championship at Portsmouth High School. Am I correct?
That was many years.
Many years ago. That's right. I just thought of it as I looked at you. So congratulations for that. Back in,
Perhaps you were not recognized at the time.
maybe you weren't. It was 1970, was it 78? That's good. And the other, I spoke with Lou DePalma today, Senator DePalma, and he let me know that the Little Compton Game Club tax exemption, is that what we're calling it, was passed today. Was passed today. So there's my two announcements.
I got an announcement.
Any other announcement?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
So I go down to Wilbur's Woods quite often. Times a week. Go down there, it was getting pretty potholy, so I asked the maintenance guys a couple of times and they went down last week. It was Curtis Cohane and Sean Mott, and I just want to give them some credit because they did a really good job.
Okay.
What was happening was people knew that I was on the town council and they would catch me walking. It was, when are you going to do something about that road? When are you going to do? So anyways, I want to thank them for doing something. They did a really good job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other announcements? Next item of business is to approve the minutes of February 2nd.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion on the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Are any opposed? Thank you. The next item is department head reports. We have a report from the assessor and she is in the audience with us. Madam Assessor, anything that you wanted to particularly point out in the report? Thanks.
Motion place that tax assessors file. Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Old business. As you may recall from our last meeting, Hopkinton had proposed a resolution in opposition to House Bill 7062 related to accessory dwelling units. My task was to return to you with a draft of what a Little Compton version might look like, and that's what's in your package. You are welcome to review that. We can vote to execute this. We can vote to set it aside. We can vote to modify it. Your pleasure.
I'm happy to make a motion to pass this.
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt the resolution as proposed in the draft.
I
Any
just,
discussion on
yeah, I
that?
just have a quick discussion. I spoke with Senator DePalma today and asked him about the ADU progress in the Senate. And he had a few things to say. He is not on the finance. I mean, he's on the finance and education committees. Where this is in the Senate is on the Housing Municipal Government Committee. So I asked him if they met on it. He did not know if they've even met on this. So he is going to find out and let me know if they even met on this bill yet. He did say he feels the Senate version ultimately will need or may change from the House version as it relates to the one size fits all in our resolution here. I think it's down. The only thing that he's confident about or sure about is something will get passed in June concerning an ADU in the Senate. So it doesn't look like there's much going on in the Senate right now on this bill. So that's just an update that I learned today.
I just want the people that feel the ADU is going to help keep some of our residents in town, especially families, that this in no way ADU we passed a couple of meetings ago, or our ADU, as was passed, is still in effect. This is just a resolution that we don't really like the state coming down and telling us what to do. So.
Yeah, I would agree, Gary, that one size doesn't fit all. That's what we're
Right.
Usually doesn't, right?
Nope.
We talked about some months ago in January, which was some of our
Motion.
Any other discussion? Are you ready to vote? All in favor of adopting the motion as written, which is the motion?
All right.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. The next item of business is a joint recommendation from the administrator and the assessor that we assign or recommend, they recommend that we assign Vision Appraisal the responsibility for our statistical update. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion on that.
So my understanding is no one's getting their door knocked on. Is that correct? Yeah,
No.
that's what everybody asked me, is, man, isn't there a knock on my door?
The motion is made and seconded and clarified that this in fact is a statistical reappraisal and revaluation services. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Thank you. Third, John Dyer Road Culvert Replacement Project Update. The town administrator has requested that we give him authority to sign on behalf of the town to the proposal that is put forward by Beta Engineering to incorporate the culvert repair in the work that will be done on John Dyer Road as part of the highway budget.
Motion to give the town administrator authority to sign the contract.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to grant the authority to sign. Any discussion?
On the construction services, task 3, $16,920. Just to oversee the project, or is that actually construction of the project?
That's construction.
That's the, yeah.
So this 44,350 is to investigate, get the permits, contract documents, and also for the construction. So this 44,350 is going to take care of the whole installation of the
culvert, but not John Dyer Road.
No, I know that's separate.
Yeah, okay.
What it doesn't include is time for the police to detail.
Hmm.
Motion made and seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is to confirm town participation in the composting program at the transfer station. We put this in here because there had been a number of discussions concerning it. There was not the record of a vote in which we said, yes, proceed. We are proceeding in the direction that's outlined in the handout that I gave you. The program is going to be a 6-month pilot. The compost can be dropped off at the transfer station by residents at no cost. Bids will be provided by Black Earth Compost, which is the entity that's doing it. They'll be, sorry, it's not the bids, the bins will be provided, and the bins will be picked up on Fridays. And basically, it's a self-contained entity which carts it away. So it's not a pile of potentially chicken bones and
This is a win-win then.
it seems to be, yeah. And we have the ability to say, thanks very much. It didn't work. We'd like you to take your bins and go home.
So I'll make it a motion to allow this to go forward.
So I'll second it. So
Motion made and seconded to confirm participation. Go ahead.
where's it going? Where are the bins going? Not the bids.
My understanding is they're going to be in line with the clothing and computer and the other
I'm
bins down the
sorry,
line.
I missed, when they pick up the bins with the compost, where is the compost going?
Oh, I
By
don't,
resource recovery.
I don't know.
We don't know. Look how they're gonna be charged.
No, we've clarified with Ryrick that this is in consonance with our agreement.
Where's it going?
The last line states it's going to Rhode Island Resource Recovery.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think that's what it says, is it?
Oh,
No.
No.
I'm sorry.
So,
Sorry, I apologize.
no, I don't think that.
No, it doesn't say that.
So my interpretation from the meeting where the representative from Black Earth Compost was here, under normal circumstances, they will charge people to pick up their compost
Right.
and process it. I think Black Earth is taking it back to their facility to compost it and
And sell
sell it. So
So I'd like to get,
that's their fee is being able to take the goods with them.
so I'd like to get clarification on that if I could, where it's going. Is Little Compton being charged?
I don't believe.
No,
so,
they're not charged.
No cost.
Not sure.
So there's no cost.
Right.
And from what I understand, we're gonna put a 75-gallon container down there
I believe there's two, but I'm not certain.
too.
We'll,
I'm worried about overflow.
you're worried about overflow. of
Just wondering.
compost?
Maybe. Is 75-gallon enough? That's all.
I guess we'll find
We're
out.
gonna find out.
It's a pilot program.
Motion made in second.
So I'd just like to thank Ashley Sparks for kind of spearheading this and getting it off the ground.
Okay, thank you to Ashley for doing that. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. New business, reappoint Rose Strokes to the Board of Canvassers, 6-year term expiring March 1st, 2030.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. Any opposed? Thanks. Secondly, the United Congregational Church letter request for their annual summer fair and road race,
motion to
July
approve
13th, 2024.
Second.
all local and state requirements adhered to. I see seats both chiefs, so that should be okay.
The motion is made and seconded, subject to all requirements being fulfilled. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is a letter from Terry Detrick requesting observance for the National Day of Prayer on May 2nd, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next is to consider adopting First Lady Susan McKee's proposed resolution for litter-free Rhode Island. I have taken that resolution and tuned it to be appropriate to Little Compton in the sense that where you talk about harbors, we talk about harbors, and where you don't, and we don't have cities, it doesn't talk about cities.
Motion to approve the resolution as written.
Allow the sign it.
Second.
Discussions. All in favor of the motion, which is to approve, to sign the motion, the resolution. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is a request letter for American Legion 37 for the annual service to be held May 27th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion on this.
Just pick one.
I know.
Take your choice.
All in favor of the motion to approve the Memorial Day Parade, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. The next item is to consider a resolution to opt in to the Infrastructure Bank's Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, or CPACE program. Sarah Cogswell, who submitted this request to us, is with us this evening. And I've asked her if she can speak to us on why this is important to her operation. And we are among 50% of the towns or so in Rhode Island who are not opted in. This is an interesting situation where a town in which you live needs to be part of it in order to do that. And this listener has some experience with that, which after Sarah speaks to us, I'll ask him to clarify for us what his past experience has been. Yeah,
Hello.
Hello.
Sarah Cogswell. I own a farm at 119 Pottersville Road in Compton, called fucking Trowel. We are residential and ag. We live there as well. We are certified organic. We raise vegetables. We raise poultry and pork. So it's really important for us to actively lower our electric bill. We have used freezers. We have about 6 on the property right now. We're trying to consolidate that with like, a walk-in cooler for the vegetables and fewer freezers. As you might imagine, our bill is quite high. When we were approached with, we want to get solar panels essentially. So as we're talking to a company called Soul Power that's out of Rhode Island. Actually, to back up, we were working with DEM because there's so many incentives right now for a farmer in Rhode Island to get solar that DEM, Isaac Solar had come by to us with Massachusetts company and assessed our property and given us an estimate. But DEM actually suggested solar panel providers and installers who had already worked with farms and knew how to get these other incentives, getting a grant. So we contacted one of them called Soul Power, and in Soul Power's bid, or whatever you want to call it, basically my wife and I we have off-farm jobs. We will require financing for whatever project we do. And so one of the options was this program called CPACE, Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy. I'd never heard of it. So in researching it, I was like, this is amazing. It's a lower interest rate. It's basically a lending program that allows you to finance the entire solar installation cost and include other needed building improvements in the same loan. So moving forward, we could also put our septic into it, which is something that we've been dragging our feet on and we really need to do. So it seems great, but lo and behold, Little Compton is not able to get it because we're not opted into this program. So we're one of the communities, as Robert said, that is not opted in. So basically, I sent, and never done this before in a town, but yeah, we moved here in 2019, so I'm relatively new. Sent Robert a request to essentially create a resolution that we would consider opting in to the CPACE program. And so we've already been in contact, I say Robert and I, with James Braz, who is the liaison at RIB, Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. And he has given us very clear next steps, in other words. So a resolution must be originated, and he gave us examples of Woonsocket, for example, and what that looked like. And voted on by Little Compton Council to resolve making the town a peace municipality according to the general state laws referenced in the attached example. So if the council passes a resolution in the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank municipal agreement, which he also gave us, will be signed by whomever has the authority within the town and then returned to them, and it's done. So even if this, I must say, doesn't work for me and my timing, because basically our solar installer, because they know how to do this process, and this is why we picked this solar installer, has already sent in our application with DEM because there was a grant requirement that has a deadline. So my process is already moving forward. If we have to get a loan with somebody else, that is a possibility. I understand that, but this would be an amazing program to opt into, not only if it does work for us, but for other folks in the community who might want a similar financing option. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you.
I'd like to hear from the solicitor since he has knowledge of this.
Yeah, I have a lot of experience with this program. It's a good program.
Okay.
By statute, the infrastructure bank can't give loans unless the local community opts in. And the reason for that is that the lenders, and this money isn't coming from RIIB, by the way, it's going to be coming from another lender. And the reason it's coming in at a lower rate is because there is a priority on the liens. And by statute, the way that the priority of the lien works is it essentially acts as if it were a tax assessment. And of course, tax liens have priorities on this. So if you take the loan out and, it doesn't work out, they don't, the person that's the recipient doesn't pay. This goes through a tax sale. And that's how it's attached on. That's the benefit for the lender to go into this program. They know that they have a priority of the lien and they're not going to have to wait. So the difficulty for a community is, you have this, you're not giving the money. It's not going to the community at all. You don't have any role in this, except if things go haywire and then you have to collect. And I think that puts the town at a bit of a disadvantage. Most of the communities have signed agreements where they actually have to supervise the collection. Now, Denise is mad enough as it is at me. If I had to have her do something like that, I'd no telling what she'd do. So what I've done is, for some communities, is retailored the resolution and the agreement so that the town has a minimal contact with the whole thing. So that the end user, one of your residents who wants to take advantage of this program, and it's a great program, gets to do it. But the town doesn't have to assume any of the liabilities of the whole thing. What will happen is that although the lien priority is there, collection efforts, if that's necessary, and I'm sure it won't be the case with Cluck and Trowel, but that would be done by the lender. So there would be an assignment. So my recommendation is go ahead and do it. But I'd like to give you the resolution that you should do, as well as the agreement with Infrastructure Bank. Now, I've done this with them already on other instances, so they know it's coming. But I think it's in the best interest of the town, as well as the best interest of the resident. And she's correct, by the way. This is something that other residents will be able to take advantage of in the future. I just want to make sure that it doesn't turn into an administrative nightmare for your town.
Okay.
So there's no way there's going to be any kind of cost to the town if this goes sideways.
Not if you sign these agreements.
And I'll make a motion that we have the council president look over the legalese that the solicitor put forward, and that we go forward with this,
With the opt-in.
with the opt-in, yes.
So you're in discussion now. How many of these you've done in Lincoln?
Lincoln has two industrial parks. And what's popular up there, because they have so many mills, they do a lot of solar projects. But this held up. That was the main community that locked up. The concern that they had was they didn't want to undertake a collection of these things because they knew they were going to get a lot of them. That's why we retailored the documents. And I've used that for other communities now too, and hopefully for Little Compton. This is not something where you're going to get a flood of them. But down here, rural community, they have a special program for farmers for solar. So I think it's going to be to an advantage of it, but you're not going to see that many of them. If you sign these agreements, the lenders will take care of everything on this thing. All that will happen is that the town will have the lien by statute and then assign the lien out to the lender.
So you'll be the first one to know about any problems.
That's correct. Yeah. Not to say that there's even going to be problems,
Well,
but if there are,
Have they come across problems in Lincoln with?
not one. As a matter of fact, in the last 3 years, there's been no foreclosures on this, but economic conditions have been stable.
Well, and just as an aside, as you're well aware, we are one deep in virtually every one of our offices within the town hall. And that's getting smaller with each day that passes. That is, we're less than one deep. So a solution that does not put another requirement on one of our departments is extremely important to me because we don't have a spare department around to say, good, you just take care of that. So the idea that we're going to solve that before it's executed is very attractive. All right. That's the motion that's made and seconded to have me and the solicitor agree on a format and that I would opt in to CPACE at the completion of that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Sarah, thank you very much for bringing us into the 19th century or wherever you brought us in terms of the kinds of things we appreciate it.
So there's 24 towns in this program and now, and 15 not. So now there'll be 25 and 14 that aren't in it.
There we go.
Good job, Robert.
The next item of business then is to consider a resolution for general refunding of the school repair bonds in order to take advantage of lower interest rate.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. The solicitor, I believe, has a statement.
The new statement.
I've discussed the matter with bond counsel. And this is something that is authorized by statute. Essentially, what you're doing is refunding existing bonds to take advantage of a lower interest rate. On that basis, you don't need to go to the financial town meeting because you have statutory authority. It's the call of your bond counsel. She asked me about it. I've done the research. I agree with her.
Thank you.
Made and seconded.
Any just further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks. The next item is notification of the finance director vacancy. I'd like to make the public aware that our finance director has announced his intention to resign from his position. We have made the vacancy known to the League of Cities and Towns, and the executive director there, Ernie Almonte, has a circuit of people to post this to, advertising in the Fall River Herald, the Secana Times. Suffice it to say that this is not something that, again, we can just absorb in our staff. So we are going to move as promptly as we can to find someone. This is not an easy find because there are a number of cities and towns in which a vacancy exists, either in the finance director or, for those that have them, in the assistant or the deputy. So we're have talked with the incumbent, Joe DeSantis. He is willing to work with us to make the transition smoothly. And we're looking forward to making that happen as soon as we can.
So I'd like, just so we're on your footing, and I know this was time critical, I'd just like to ratify the actions of town administrator for putting public notice out.
I'm sorry, to ratify those.
Yeah, ratify the action of the town administrator. That's
I'll second.
So the motion is made and seconded to ratify the actions of the administrator to begin the process of advertising for a vacancy.
He already put the advertisement off.
Right.
Generally when that,
You're ratifying.
right, generally that comes to the town council for approval, so I'm just
Any
ratifying.
discussion on that? All in favor of that motion? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Communications, a letter from Burrillville requesting to form a coalition to develop a joint resolution addressing inconsistency school funding for. My advice to you here is, we are not in that business. I don't think that's not an issue for us.
Motion to place on file.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The consent file, let me just,
Motion to put consent calendar on.
there's not really there's not a rival of the old Saybrook to Kenyon bypass. It's a revival of the old Saybrook to Kenyon bypass. But other than that, what you see is 6 items of consent. The motion's made and seconded to place the consent calendar on file. Is there discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then finally, the payment of bills.
Motion to pay the bill.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. There being no further matters before the town council, I'll declare the meeting